Hello, everybody. Let me make sure my mic is correct and you guys can hear me. It seems like it's a little low.
I'm working on it. Hold
Um, I don't know what you said, Squirrel.
on. Hold on, I'm trying to get it
So before we start, we're just gonna make sure.
good.
Okay, I got a technical okay, so we're good. Um, Today we're gonna be covering on the Star Hobson thing, on the Star Hobson case rather. Star Hobson, her mother was very immature, um, and she fell victim. Star Hobson fell victim of an immature mother and her violent partner. So I want to make sure there's a trigger warning on all of this. So please be remindful of that. Um, and Let's go. Frankie Smith was obsessed with Savannah Brock Hill. She was an amateur boxer, 8 years her senior. And the mother's girlfriend was found guilty of murdering her toddler. Uh, and Star Hobson was found guilty as well. But let's cover them a little bit more because um, it's very important to understand that both of them, Star Hobson and I'm sorry, not Star Hobson, that's the baby, Savannah Brockhill and her mother, Frankie Smith. It was only a few months after Star Hobson's birth on May 21st, 2019, that her mother, Frankie Smith, seemed to lose interest in her daughter. Wow, you just lose interest in your kid. She took a holiday that September and got a friend to look after Star as she was boarded the coach to Brittleton. I think that's what it is, leaving the friend to babysit in the evening so she could go out drinking. This is the birth mother. That friend became the first person to call Bradford Social Services concerning Star in January of 2020. Now, the most important thing to remember about all of this is that the time of birth and the timeline of all of these events are very close to each other. You're not just thinking that they are close, they are close. Others followed, including Smith's sister and her grandmother and Star's dad, Jordan Hobson. Um, Smith turned eight. Smith turned 18 a month after Star was born, and her family said she was very immature for her age. She was still playing with dolls when she was 16. Favoring lifelike models, she would wrap them up when they got cold, and she grew up in a chaotic house with a single parent mom and various siblings. Mm. After her arrest, the psychologist assessed her as being in the bottom of the 2% of intelligence. The psychologist said she was abnormally compliant and abnormally prone to going along with whatever an authority figure was telling her what to do. So, no matter who you are or who you were to her, if you told her to do something and you had a very commanding presence, she would do whatever you told her to do. Savannah Brockhill, who became her on and off again girlfriend, was such a figure. The prosecution argued that she was 8 years older. She had left school at 10 and had hidden her bisexuality from most of her family until she discussed it in the witness box. She was a keen amateur builder and she hoped to compete in the Olympics one day, but got injured and worked as a career and later a security guard. So that's a little background on both of those. The couple met in the Sun Pub in Bradford, where Brockhill worked as a bouncer. Their tempestuous relationship began in November of 2019, around the time Smith split up with Hobson. That's about the time the boyfriend split up with her. Before long, Smith's friends noticed her further losing interest in Starr and becoming obsessed with Brockhill, spending hours and hours on the phone with her. It was Brockhill's phone that ultimately secured her conviction. Says every time she assaulted Starr, she would Google tips on how to cover her tracks, or looking up things like can you die from getting winded, sickening after a head trauma. So she's doing these things to the baby, but Googling basically what the medical is going to show and how far she can go. So that's really what she's doing. And how to get bruising down. Like when she bruises a baby, she wants to know how to get the bruising down and quick. And signs of an abused baby. So on 22 September of 2020, she punched Starr. This is Brockhill. Punched Starr so hard she caused the injuries that ultimately caused Starr's death. Brockhill again went online, Googled shock in babies and how to bring a baby out of shock. 11 minutes before she and Smith texted 999, which in America that's 911. Did you hear that? She Googled this stuff. So while this is going on, Starr is injured. Starr is needing help. Starr is on the floor. Starr can't breathe. Starr can't even sit upright. And they Googled signs of an abused baby 11 minutes before even calling 999 or texting 999, which is equivalent to 911. The signs that Brockhill had a problem with violence had been there since at least February of 2020 when she posted a video online calling herself a number one psycho. And I played that for y'all in the last video, part 1. She posted that right before I played that right before the 911. So that's hard to get over anyway. Each half of the couple was jealous of each other. Forget about the baby, right? They're jealous of each other. And Starr is caught in the middle. In February of 2020, Brockhill was paranoid that Smith was cheating on her, sending a message to one of Smith's sisters saying, I'm broken. I've stabbed someone tonight, I swear. She threatened to confront Smith. I don't care about kids in the house. I will rage. Fuck it. They're going to need police in this house to take me away. That was the message that she sent to Smith. Family members started to suspect the relationship was violent after seeing Smith with bruises and black eyes. So now Brock Hill's taking it out on the mother as well. In mid March of 2020, Brock Hill hit Smith in the Sun pub. She said accidentally, but Smith's mom, Yvonne Speedley, said Brock Hill punched her in the face. The couple then sped off in Brock Hill's car. The next day, Brock Hill texted her boxing sparring partner to say she had tried to kill herself and Smith by driving off of a cliff, but ended up just giving Smith a hiding. She said she needed help mentally and that I'm out of control. This is the first and only time uh, that I have researched that she asked for help. Brock Hill never asked for help at all, but she did this time. I wonder what she was up to. So in May 2020, Star's wider family say they were told they could no longer see her on Brock Hill's order. So now she's telling the family members they cannot see their granddaughter. The catalyst was Smith's grandmother calling social services after learning Brock Hill had been holding Star in a slam choke. So not only is she hitting and beating up on the mother, Brock Hill is grabbing Star by her throat and slamming her down on the ground or on the bed or whatever surface. And that's called the slam choke. This wrestling move involved being lifted up by the neck and the throat and then thrusting her on the bed. She did it on the floor too, also several times. I just left that part out. I mean, I think it's pretty graphic already. The court heard that she did that, and don't think she showed any remorse because when Brock Hill was brought to court, she laughed at all this stuff brought on to her. She laughed, okay, and she was challenged by her grandma. Smith said it was to toughen up Star. Wow. Hold on 1 second. But some family members still managed to see Star. In June, they noticed she had bruises and had changed from being happy, healthy baby to a withdrawn, fearful one who often seemed to be in pain and lost weight. Now, Star is starting to show the things that she was being done to her, and other people are seeing it. So late that month, Hobson called social services after seeing pictures of bruises on her daughter's face, which resulted in a police visit and Star being checked overall at a local hospital. Hold on, let me get a drink for a second. When family and friends were allowed near the couple, they were alarmed to see the strict regimen that Brocco seemed to have instigated for Star. She was deliberately deprived of sleep and was barely a year old when she was forced to spend 5 minutes or more standing alone and facing a wall for the most minor of transgressions. Transgressions that was in any case far too young for anybody of that age. And they didn't nobody no kid can understand that when they're that age. It was again the couple's phones that proved beyond a reasonable doubt that they had been abusing Star for their own amusement. In June of 2020, they both filmed Star wobbling in a daze of exhaustion before falling headfirst off a chair. They found the video hilarious, sending versions to their friends, edited by Brockhill with the soundtrack of some type of music and captions added for dramatic effect. Brockhill told the jury she was inspired by You've Been Framed by editing the videos. That was a TV show. Um, Smith told the jury she did not understand at the time what she was doing amounted to child abuse. Now, I don't know what she thought it was then. She said, I loved my Star. That's past tense to me. She said, despite them having heard she had previously referred to her daughter as I'm not going to say this word, but I will spell it. Previously, she referred to her daughter as a C blank blank T and a it. I'm sure you can figure out what that word is that I won't use. The female body part that starts with a C and ends with a T and is only 4 letters. Partway through the trial, she said she had seen the light and pleaded guilty to neglecting Star on at least 8 separate occasions in the month leading up to her death. You see, I don't think she was telling the truth right here uh, because I just don't. Her family was, trying to get involved in this and all that. And there's no way somebody didn't already tell her what they thought it was. Um, this included one incident that was caught on CCTV in Bradford City Central, where she was seen, where Bradford was seen, Brockhill, was seen dragging Star along the pavement. The court will not release to look at this. And again, some of the CCTV footage I do have, I am not putting out to watch. She said she did not know that day that Star's leg was already broken. Wow. Again, that fracture was a result of 21 blows inflicted on Star by Brockhill a few days earlier when she took her to work at the recycling center in Doncaster so Smith could go out drinking. So it seems to be that when Smith wasn't around, Brockhill took her anger out on the baby. Because right here, you know, she got 21 blows on the baby. And I ain't talking about spanking, I'm talking about closed fist blows on this baby. 21 of them because she took her to work with her and her mama went out to go drinking. And we already heard about how she's jealous. So CCTV captured the relentless abuse of this. And it's not fun to watch. It captured the relentless abuse and it also resulted in a fractured skull. Brockhill tried to persuade juries the camera lied, admitting slamming of Star was only one time. but nothing worse. Wow, like one time's not enough is bad. She struggled. She suggested that the fatal blow to Starr's abdomen on 22 September was not inflicted by her, an 11-stone amateur boxer, but one of the other children in the room at the time when she had her back turned. So she's an amateur boxer. She's trained. She knows where to hit people. And now on September 22nd, when they called 911, she's trying to blame another child for the injuries found on Star. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. Through the 7-week trial, Brock Hill insisted she too loved Star and was just trying to get her into a routine. She told paramedics that Star was my little girl as well. She said to paramedics that Star was my little girl as well. I brought her up. She was trying to say that uh, Star was Frankie's. She said Frankie's little girl, but she was also her little girl too because she brought her up with Frankie. And then casually put her cup of coffee down on the hospital trolley where Star lay dead. At times during the evidence, she cried, wiping away tears with the disposable face mask. The day Star was murdered, social services numerous uh, were due to visit Smith. Numerous visits were made throughout 2020 as files were opened and shut into Star's care. But Smith had successfully fobbed off the social worker. The courts heard, postponed the meeting. But they still went there a lot of times, so I don't know how they can just say we didn't know nothing. I mean, even though that right there, they're saying we did this, we done that, but they still went at times and showed up. So Bradford Council said a local safeguarding practice review was ongoing and would be finalized after the trial's conclusion. So you're going to finish your social worker report after the trial is over? How's that work? I don't know. Huh. Starr's family said they hoped it would be explained why social workers did not take steps to keep Starr safe despite numerous warnings. Smith and Brockhill may have managed to pull the wool over the social workers' eyes, but I think they might have, but the jury wasn't convinced. So that's a small problem for them. You can convince people, but you can't convince a jury. No way, no how were you ever going to convince that jury. So right now, I want to play. No, I'm going to do it after this part. So I'm going to read this now. No, I'm going to wait to that later soon. Okay, anyway, after reviewing into the death, the family says, because I'm telling you, the family did not give up on this baby. There were articles everywhere and complaints everywhere about the family. So, what we really need to, let me see which way I want to go next. Hold on 1 second, please. Yeah, I'm gonna play this video now that I think is the right one. Let me see. We're gonna talk about some Savannah's interview that let me make sure I have the right one up. Yeah. This is an analysis on Frankie Smith. That's the mother that everybody is saying is too much immature. So let's look at this. Put myself over if I can see my microphone. Hold on, please. I'm sorry. Okay. Hold on.
All good.
That's what the problem is. Okay. Let me restart this over. I'm sorry. My microphone is pretty big, so it's in the way of what I'm trying to see. So I'm going to back this up, and this is a language analysis of Frankie. So here we go.
Disclaimer number 1. This content is for educational and entertainment purposes only. All views expressed are my own. They are theories, ideas. I do not claim to be accurate or factually correct in my analysis. It's purely for entertainment purposes only. Disclaimer number 2. Some users may find the content that follows distressing. It does cover child abuse, true crime, analysing 999 calls and other stressful events. Viewer discretion is advised, and if this is not for you, please click out now. Disclaimer number 2. Some users may find the content that follows distressing. It does cover child abuse, true crime, analysing 999 calls and other stressful events. Viewer discretion is advised, and if this is not for you, please click out now. Welcome back to the second part of the Star Hobson series. I felt even more compelled to record this after reading the whole court testimony because I am baffled as to how Smith has managed to walk away with such a lenient sentence and what to me seems like such a flaky defence. I would love to know what you think about this. So I intend to cover here what was Frankie's upbringing really like. Was it really this stable, normal environment that is portrayed? Was she really a great mum before Brock Hill came on the scene? Does Frankie Smith lie, or can we trust her testimony? Because from listening to the case, I'm not even sure how the jurors managed to conclude that this catalogue, and it was an absolute catalogue of catastrophic injuries to this poor baby. How did they determine that Smith wasn't responsible for any of those? Because if we look at the timeline, I don't feel that I could say with certainty, and certainly a lot of factors, and particularly from a language analysis perspective, I personally, in my own opinion, do not feel that this is an entirely honest, open testimony from either party. I still don't think we're getting the truth. But let's dive in and look at Frankie Smith in more detail. Frankie Smith was born in 2002. Her mum's Yvonne Spendley and her father was Andrew Smith. She was raised in a terrace house in Shipley, and she was the eldest of 5 children. So she had 3 younger sisters and a younger brother, and she also had a couple of half-sisters and a half-brother that lived nearby. The media portrayal is very much that Smith grew up in a very typical, stable, normal, loving home environment. And indeed, the main basis of her defence appears to be that she was brainwashed by Brock Hill, and that she was a naive, almost childlike figure who was still playing with dolls just 12 months, 18 months prior. So what do we actually know about Frankie Smith's upbringing? First, her father was called Andrew Smith. He unfortunately did pass away in June 2021. There is some speculation, and I'm not going to dwell on this because I don't think it's relevant to the case, but whether it was suicide or whether it was an accidental death. There was methadone found in his system, which links with his family stating that he had had a long battle, a lifetime battle since he became an adult, with depression and drug use. It states, or they state, that he did have long periods of being sober, but that he did also relapse, and methadone is linked with more significant drug use, and therefore we don't really have much of an indication as to exactly how stable life was with him when Frankie was smaller. Between the ages of 14 and 16, Smith didn't in fact live with her mother and father. She instead chose to live with her grandmother, Anita, and her long-term partner, David, suggesting things perhaps weren't the most settled at home at that time. Her mother did then split from her father in 2020. This is the building where Frankie was living at the time of the incident. It is in Keighley. It's described as a flat, and it is. It's a very small flat because it's sheltered, a supported accommodation. So it's for people who are homeless or at risk of being made homeless. And it's 8 small units or flats that can either contain 8 single people or 8 mothers, fathers, single parents with a child. Next we have her mother, who is Yvonne Spendley, and Spendley was called as a witness in the case and seemed to have very selective memory issues around certain events, shall we say. It felt to me very much like she was walking a line between trying to defend her daughter's case that she was brainwashed, but that she did try and protect Star, but that she hadn't really been aware, and particularly questions around her going out drinking with sometimes a bit very minimising language, which is quite different to her Facebook profile. And just in case you're thinking to yourself, so she likes a drink, she likes to go out and have fun, it's been locked down, she likes to party, that doesn't make her a bad person. You're absolutely right, that's true. The rest of her Facebook profile, let's see if it sends you warm, fuzzy, motherly, maternal type vibes. And I can understand being hurt and furious and angry and frustrated that things have been touched on a grave. But this reaction and the language and the way that Yvonne deals with this, I think is a bit of an insight into the role modelling that Smith has likely received. So this is Yvonne's last status update to that particular Facebook page. She then changed to a different one, but it's not really clear what it's pertaining to. Next we get on to Jordan Hobson, who is the father of Star and Smith's ex-partner. It appears he made very little effort to see Star during that period. Yes, he did call social services after he saw an image that was either sent to him or he saw it online, or however it transpired that he became aware of this. But he certainly isn't listed in the transcripts as being somebody who, came and visited at weekends and took care in any way of Star. There is one trip recorded where Smith did take Star to see him. There may be more that weren't referenced, but was he an active part of her life? It doesn't appear so. And it seems very little is known about Jordan in general. Even the media are not sure of his age. So I decided to search a little bit deeper. It's claimed he's at Sunderland, or was at Sunderland University at the time of the press release. And therefore I had a hunt for any news reports or history linking Jordan Hobson to that area. Now, I did find a news report, and I would like to say legally, I'm not claiming this is the same Jordan Hobson. There could be another Jordan Hobson at the same university, or it could be that he's not at that university and the media totally got it wrong. So legally, I'm not claiming this is him, but it's interesting, so I thought I'd include it. The Sunderland student attacked his ex-girlfriend. He threw a bucket at her and pushed her head into a gate after she turned up at his accommodation. The altercation was apparently regarding access to his daughter. He had a 3-month relationship with her, and according to the report, she was denying him access. It resulted in a restraining order after a security guard called the police. And what's really interesting about this is that there is a history of abuse from this Jordan Hobson. 4 previous convictions, 1 of assault, 2 against property, and pleaded guilty to assault by beating and causing criminal damage. So the impression we're given by some media coverage is that Frankie was very much wouldn't say boo to a goose, was very timid, very quiet, quite calm, and scared witless to stand up for herself, which isn't really the picture that even her close family presents. And this doesn't appear to be new following meeting Brock Hill. It appears that Frankie has potentially always had some issues with controlling her temper or her mouth when she's angry, based on what her family have said. So they ask whether when Frankie got angry she could lose it and scream, and they acknowledge that yes, she could. And when Frankie was in one of these moods, arguing back made her worse, and they said yes. She was then asked if she knew how to push people's buttons in arguments, and the response was that she wouldn't say that. But then when that question was rephrased, that she knew how to wind people up, which is basically exactly the same question, the response was yes. And to stand your ground just made her worse, sometimes. And this was before Savannah. She'd always been like that? Yes. So that's a very firm yes. There's no minimising around that. There's no extra wordage. It's clear that she was like that prior to Brock Hill. And I think even her own mother couldn't deny that in a court of law. There would be far too many friends and family members that knew exactly what their relationship was like and what Frankie was like. Next, her mum is asked whether she struggled with Frankie's mood swings. And the language that she chooses is quite interesting. It's a minimizer. It's the word sometimes, because clearly she can't answer no if the behaviour was problematic enough to be a struggle, because she could have answered no, it didn't happen very often, no, she occasionally ran her mouth, but it was never to like a problem level. But when asked if she struggled with Frankie's mood swings, the answer was that sometimes she did. So that's basically yes. And she's then asked if she heard Frankie threaten to kill Savannah. And again, the language that she chooses is quite interesting, because again, a simple denial of no. No, I didn't. I've not heard any threats of a physical nature. But the words she chooses are not kill her, not in front of me. Does that mean she's heard some sort of physical threat, but not one to kill her? Or that she's heard that this threat was made, but it wasn't made in front of her? Interesting language. But when she's asked if it would surprise her to hear that Frankie would say that she'd murder or strangle Savannah, her denial is a firm yes. So that is a pretty strong yes. When her sisters asked, did you hear her screaming and shouting at Brock Hill in anger? It's a clear yes. When she's asked, screaming and shouting she was going to effing kill her, her sister replies, I don't remember those words. It's not a great reply. I think I'd remember if I heard someone threatening to kill somebody else or not. So I would prefer to hear, no, she never threatened to kill her, rather than I don't remember those words. Because again, when she's asked again and said, do you remember her saying she'd strangle or murder her or harm her? She says no, but then it's followed by I can't remember. Which, do these things happen all the time, so frequently that they all blur together and it wouldn't stand out in your mind? But her sister does also confirm that it was before and after she got her own flat, and they were arguing a lot. So rather than being brave or trying to stand up for herself, it seems like this is described more as ongoing, angry arguments from both parties. And it seems that Smith prides herself on this. She shared a meme that says that I'm the bitch that tells it like it is. And it claims I speak my mind, I tell the truth, and I sure as hell won't pretend to be anything I'm not. Is that right, Smith? Because if that's the case, your whole defence, you seem to have a bit of a flaw there. Next, we have the claim that Smith has an IQ so low she sits in the bottom 2% of the entire population, and this verges on having a learning disability. I don't know why, but this struck me as a bit odd. I think because the first thing that struck me, I read this after I'd read the court testimony, and I thought, oh, okay, well, from reading the court testimony, from hearing the statements from her family, from her friends, firstly, there was no other mention of this from anybody, and secondly, Smith certainly seemed to keep up okay with the court proceedings. Things didn't seem to have to be explained to her in a really, really simple structure or sentence. She seemed to process things pretty typically. So here you can see an example of a more complex sentence. It's quite long, there's some events to keep up with, and Smith seems to understand what the question means and follow it, and she knows what console means, and in her answer she says that all she could attribute it to was the gear stick, which doesn't strike me immediately as language that somebody with such a low IQ would necessarily favour. Not all what I'd seen or all what I knew, but all she could attribute it to. Now, again, I am by no means an expert in this field. I'd love to know what you think, but for me, there were just enough red flags that I thought I would dig a little bit deeper into the IQ test and whether the results really are set in stone. You know, the way that the papers report them, the way it's all covered, that this is a given. Frankie Smith does have this incredibly low IQ. From reading the court transcripts and doing some digging, it seems that Frankie Smith changed her defence team midway through the planning stages, and her new defence, built with her new team, was that she had been brainwashed, she'd become a different person, and it was at that point the request for the IQ test was made by Frankie's defence, because I'm guessing, presumably, if you can demonstrate that person has a low IQ, that's going to support your case that they are more easy to influence, that they were taken advantage of, and so on. So the IQ test was arranged and funded by Frankie's defence team. Now, the psychologists who complete these reports do sign to state that they are, of course, unbiased, and that, you know, who is funding them, be that the defence or the prosecution, doesn't influence their results, basically, that they're unbiased results. He is asked whether anyone can fake these tests or mislead, and he says that he feels that he would know if that was happening and he would adjust the test. Okay, so the next question is, can different psychologists potentially have a difference of opinion regarding the IQ of one person? So if 3 different psychologists were to run that same IQ test, would they all come out with the same result? Because I feel like that's really kind of the implication here. Let's look. So here we've got a news report from a completely different murder case. And interestingly, Eric Wright, so he's either just coincidentally got the same name or he's the same psychologist, was called by the defence to assess the IQ of the suspect. And he assessed it at 65. But Kirsty Lowe, a different psychologist who was called by the Crown, she assessed it at 85. So that would seem to be quite a big difference. The defence barrister states the suggestion seems to be made that at some stage the defendant, he basically was faking the test results. And they agreed that yes, that is how it appeared. And in this case, Eric Wright hadn't seemed to have picked up on this fact as, you know, he's claiming he would in this case. If of course that is the same person. Other question we've got is around the compliancy and the fact that Smith scored very highly on this. So the psychologist said that he didn't feel it was an easy test to manipulate, that it was very difficult from the test to work out what somebody was trying to measure. And he does even go as far as to say, particularly for somebody, without disrespect, but with such a low IQ as Frankie Smith has. Now, I'm not an expert in this field. If I read the questions, I would be really interested to know what you think, because if we bear in mind that Smith does know her defence is Brock Hill told her to do it. That's the standard line sort of through everything. The questions are, as a child, I always did as my parents told me. And that's a true or false answer. Number 2, when I was a child, I sometimes took the blame for things I hadn't done. Number 3, I tend to go along with things if I'm told to, even if I know they are wrong. So, if your defence is that someone told you to do something and then somebody asks you, like, do you usually do as you're told? Does it take a genius to work out the right answer to that to probably give would be yes, I do tend to do as I'm told? That would only strengthen your defence. The next interesting point is around suggestibility, and again, this has not really been well picked up by the media coverage, but...
Okay. I'm stopping this thing about her IQ. Star Frankie Smith's IQ, because I'm just not buying it. I mean, I don't care how spoiled she was. If there was nobody that could help her, I might would believe this a little better, that her intelligence played a factor. And I'm not saying that she doesn't have a low IQ. No, I'm not saying that. Uh, I'm Can a low IQ cause her to be controlled by Brock Hill? Yes. Am I saying that is the reason why all the things happened to her daughter? No, because it is my belief, because she had so many people asking. She had a nanny, she had grandma, grandpa, a friend, a relative, the father, all asking to see Star. So I'm just not going to buy the whole I have a low IQ and didn't really understand that I have a kid. There were other people. Star would be alive if she would have let other people watch Star. If she wanted to go out and have a single life, well, then let somebody else raise her. So I'm just not buying the whole IQ thing. I'm sorry, it's just not it. Anyway, let's move on. Star's mother, Frankie Smith, and her partner, Savannah Brockhill, were jailed for their roles in the Star's death. The report found professionals accepted. No, seriously, the reports found professionals that accepted Brockhill and Frankie Smith's explanations for Star's injuries too readily and failed to properly investigate family concerns. Her Alicia, her aunt Alicia, I don't know how to say it, Spletzer, after reading the findings, had made herself a statement that made her so much more angry. Let me get this picture up here real quick. Don't want anybody to forget who we're talking about. Um, so in Star's case, it found assessment visits were superficial and meant professionals had only limited understanding of what daily life was like for Star. Talk about an epic fail for a social worker. The little girl was constantly uprooted from the household to household, but no professionals understood this. So, um, 5 referrals were made to Bradford Social Services. Uh, 5 referrals by family and relatives who had noticed the marks on Star and changes in her personality in the 9 months leading up to her death. This baby didn't have to die. Smith and Brockhill's trial heard these were results of months of physical and psychological abuse at the couple's hands at her home in West Yorkshire. While caught in the crossfire, this baby was caught in the crossfire of this pair's toxic relationship. Talking about needing the. I still can't understand a mother who puts herself in front of her child. I understand they say she's too immature, but even to let somebody else take care of her, If you can feed yourself and go to the bathroom and give yourself a shower or the basic necessities of your life, why can't you figure out to give this baby to somebody who would care for her? You want to drink, you want to go out, you want to party, go ahead. Just give this baby somebody to care for her. The review found social workers were too easily accepting the explanations for her injuries. In one case, they took no further action after being told people were being malicious and rooted in the dislike of their same sex relationship. So they went to the house, they were going to check it out, or called and they were going to check it out. And they just said, people don't like us because we're both girls. That was how they got rid of them. Wow, really? The report said the growing weight of concern voices speaking on behalf of Starr should have prompted professionals to reconsider the escalating risk to her. The fact that she may have been experiencing serious and symptomatic physical and emotional abuse was never concerned or addressed. Great grandfather David Fawcett said Starr's family was really angry and they were really frustrated. Let me get this up here. If social services did their job in the first place, Starr would still be here with us. It's upsetting because it's telling you what you know and what you should never even have happened to Starr in the first place. It's very upsetting to have to read all of this. They went back and read all the details on the autopsy. I mean, seriously. Um, the report they read also highlighted interactions with Starr's mom, Frankie Smith, and said the opportunity for early help was missed during her pregnancy at the age of 17. And I don't want to hear the whole it's a 17, don't know how to. No. When the young mother wasn't seen by an antenatal health visitor, well, the child safe practice review panel found Brock Hill had a history of domestic abuse with a previous partner and was subject to a restraining order in 2015. Oh, nice girlfriend. Good pick. But no checks were carried out by social services. Smith was also a target for Brock Hill, but abuse between the couple was not assessed, with Smith not given sufficient space to disclose what happened to her to the social workers. That means Brock Hill stayed right up her ass, so she couldn't even tell them what she was experiencing, the social workers. Mr. Fawcett believes Smith, his granddaughter, was failed herself. Really, she was abused. So what happened to Starr? That's what we thought was going to happen to Frankie. That's what she thought. Frankie thought Brockett was so evil to Starr that she thought she would turn it around and do it to her herself in that same action. So I guess for me, I'd rather be beaten than let my child be beaten. But that again shows the low IQ and the immaturity. Um, Starr's aunt, Miss Belter, echoed one finding in the review, which said that relevant information that would have helped decision making was not always shared with police. And I think this shows Frankie Smith's, you know, fear. Um, if they'd all sat down and looked into it deeper, they would have seen the wider picture. That we weren't being malicious. That he's talking about Frankie. if you'd have looked deeper and the social workers would have looked deeper, it has showed the family wasn't trying to be malicious to them either. They didn't bother hearing out our side on what's going on. And they're talking about the social workers. That's what the family's saying. I mean, Star's former babysitter, Hollow Jones, was the first person to raise concerns about the toddler. She said she had mixed emotions about the report's outcomes, and was shocked to learn of previously undisclosed details such as Brock Hill's abusive past. She said, I was not listened to. So I think one of the big changes is for people not to be shunned off and ignored. And I think that would be a massive change that needs to be made. It would be kind of heartbreaking as Frank for me as Frankie was my best friend. So I feel like I've always loved her, but I'll never be able to forgive her. Miss Jones said she had no intention of contacting Smith in prison. Even though it has been 2 years, it's still very fresh, and I have quite a lot of bad feelings toward her, which happened, and toward what happened and towards her. So I wouldn't want to speak to her again or visit her again. That I just can't do. Bradford's Children's Social Care Services was in a turmoil in 2020 with higher turnover, uh, higher caseloads, reduced funding. I mean, so I guess now we're going to blame that, right? I do think social workers need to be paid more. I don't think social workers in our country or any country are paid more. They need to be paid a higher wage. Several recommendations have been made, including more joined up information, gathering from different agencies that need to work together. And I think that as well. Different agents need to be, work together. Mr. Fawcett said, we're hoping something will come out of this. We don't want things to happening to other children like what happened to Star. We hope there are changes for the better. After what we've been through, I don't really have a lot of hope, but I want to be hopeful. She said that's Miss Spencer on the screen right now. She said, I don't have a lot of hope that it's going to get better, but I want to have that kind of hope. We just hope they stick to what they're actually saying, because this has been happening for years and it keeps happening. Um, So it's been a little minute or so since, a day already we started this. So let me go on and do a timeline of events, or if you just now came in and you're lost. So let me go on and do this timeline of events. 21 May 2019, birth of Star Hobson. October 2019, Frankie Smith meets Savannah Brock a month after she separates from Star's father, Jordan Hobson. 2320 January 23rd, 2020. Concerns of domestic violence and bruising following a referral by friend and babysitter Holly Jones. A social worker visits Star 3 times and assessed there's no obvious concerns. In February of 2020, Star lives with her grandmother, Aunt Anita Smith, when Savannah and Frankie's relationship breaks down. In April of 2020, Frankie removes Star from the care of Anita Smith without any warning. On May 4th, 2020, a social work team made an unannounced visit to Savannah's home, where the infant is deemed as being safe and well. The day after Anita makes a referral, social workers conclude this was malice. 21 June 2020 June 21st, 2020, Jordan Hobson submits photos of bruising with concerns over his daughter's treatment by Savannah. Star is checked over by a medic arranged by the police, and they found no concerns, believing the bruising was most likely to be accidental and consistent with Frankie's explanation. 9 July 2020. Assessment closed down following a medical report. August 27th. A video 2020. A video of Star with bruising on her face emerges and is sent to police. Officers attempt the visit, but the couple said they were in Scotland with Star. September 2nd, 2020. Star's biological grandfather, Frank Smith, makes a referral after seeing another video of bruising to Star. A social worker contacts Frankie, who tells them her daughter bruised herself falling down, and this was previously raised with another social worker. The home visit is deferred for September, but authorities find no record of a previous contact. On 3 September 2020, Frankie and Savannah are contacted by GP, advising Star is seen by a doctor, but this does not get acted upon. They did not do it. On 4 September 2020, social services visit Star and conclude no further action is taken. This was on the 4th of September 2020. Pay attention. 15 September 2020. This case is closed on the grounds concerns were unabstained and referral was malicious. 22 September 2020. Star dies of an abnormal hemorrhages caused by blunt force trauma. A post-mortem found the toddler suffered multiple injuries to the skull, forehead, cheek, and back, as well as a recent skull fracture and a refracture of her right shin bone after she was physically assaulted by Brock Hill on numerous occasions in the weeks and months leading up to her death. Wow, that went really fast. I mean, in September they were there on the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 15th, and 22nd. It was too late. If anything had been done in any of those days, this wouldn't have had to happen. This didn't have to happen at all. I'm going to play this video right here. Hold on. This is the family.
She's got 2 bruises there.
Star Hobson's
sent him this picture.
Yeah, and it's fairly obvious. She's got 2 bruises there.
Star Hobson's aunt, Alicia, is speaking for the first time about events leading to her niece's murder. How she warned social services and the police, but no one listened.
The day that it happened, I knew that it wasn't an accident. I knew that it was, I knew that I was right and they should have listened.
16-month-old Star Hobson was murdered by Savannah Brockhill while the child's mother, Frankie Smith, was found guilty of causing or allowing her death. Star had suffered terrible cruelty for months before she was beaten to death in September 2020. But seen here with Alicia, she was very loved and looked out for by her extended family.
She loved music. My granddad would play the guitar, and my nan had this thing in the kitchen. It was like a washing dryer, and she'd always bang it and make noise. She loved music and dancing.
For the happiest 10 weeks of her life, Star lived with her great-grandparents.
Star, do you love your mums?
But when her mother took her back, things started to change.
Do you love me?
The family had heard that Smith's new girlfriend, Brockhill, who was an amateur boxer, had been slam choking the little girl. So they referred them to social services.
That is around the time that me and my nan and granddad got banned from seeing Star, because we spoke to social services,
So you were banned by
Frankie and
Frankie
Savannah.
and Savannah.
Yeah. Frankie's my sister, but no matter what, when you get a gut feeling, you have to follow your gut feeling. Star had a little bruise on her cheek, a little tiny, and it easily could have been from just a fall, a bruise like that. It was a tiny, tiny little bruise, but I don't know, I just knew something wasn't right.
Social services believed Smith and Brockhill's assertions that the family was being malicious.
I'm coming for you.
So Star, who loved playing with her aunt, lost contact with the only people trying to protect her.
It just hurt me to think somebody is calling me malicious for trying to protect my niece. It just felt like, well, if they don't believe me, who is going to believe me?
A month later, Alicia contacted the police and emailed them these photographs she'd been sent by a younger sister who comments that you can see the bruises. She also sent a screenshot of a Snapchat conversation with her sister, who messaged her saying, "I've just seen Frankie slap her across the face. Oh my God. I'm fuming. Tell Nana." Okay, something bad's going to happen. Why did she hit her? Because she was playing with her shoe. Slapped for playing with a shoe. The row that led to her death started because Star was playing with a concert ticket.
At this period of time, I was just angry every day because no one was listening to me, and I just felt like all I could have done is taken her and ran off with her. The police officer never got back to me.
How did you feel, the police not getting back to you?
Angry. I just felt, just angry.
Police did take Star for a medical check, but the doctor supported the mother's claim that injuries could have been caused by falling on a coffee table. In July, social services closed the case. The family made another referral in August, the last time Alicia would see Star.
And how was she when you saw her?
Star?
Yeah.
In August?
Yeah.
Just not Star. She just had like, her eyes she just looked tired, her eye bags, she wasn't as chunky. She just looked sad.
In September 2020, Star died at her mother's flat here in Keighley after being beaten and suffering catastrophic abdominal injuries. Both Smith and Brockhill claimed to be out of the room when it happened, that they'd heard a bang, implying she'd had a fall, the excuse they'd used before to explain Star's bruising.
I said to my mum, I know that's a lie. And then a few days later, she got arrested. And from that day, I just decided I can't speak to her. So...
It must be tough for you, though, because it's your sister.
Yeah, she was like my best friend as well. So it's like losing two people in one.
A post-mortem found Star Alicia Hobson had over 30 previous injuries, including fractures in her ribs, legs and skull. In the wake of this, Bradford Council apologised and was stripped of responsibility for running children's social care last week. It welcomed a review into the toddler's death, which will become part of a wider national review.
I think they need to be more on the ball, and time is crucial. So, like, Frankie was just texting her social worker saying, like, we've got a sickness bug, can we rearrange? And she was just replying, no worries. Whereas they should have been like, well, no, you can't rearrange, you know, this needs to be, you know, followed up, I need to see you today. They just thought all of Frankie's family was being malicious, and they'd already decided that they'd taken their side. That's what it felt like. It felt like the social services were against us.
But compare Star's affection for Alicia
Who's a pretty girl?
to how she behaves in the care of her killer, Savannah Brockhill.
Who's spoiled? Who's spoiled?
I actually didn't get to see that video until after Star had passed away, because Savannah and Frankie had blocked me.
Pretty girl. You a spoiled pretty girl.
You can just tell the difference. You can see in her eyes. She just looked scared.
I didn't like a teddy bear. Wednesday, Tuesday, tickly everywhere. Serious girl, aren't you?
What are your thoughts now, first of all, about Savannah?
I don't even have words. In our family, we don't even say her name. We call her the monster. We can't. It's just how someone can do that. It's not. She took Star and she took Frankie. She just destroyed the whole family.
And how do you feel about your sister now?
Different each day. Some days I wake up and I miss her, but then I just think it's not the same person who's. When I was at trial, that was hard. But when I looked at her, I just think that's not who I miss. She's not that person anymore. It will never be the same again. I mean, I will love her in private, but I can't ever speak to her again. I just can't do it. I just feel angry because I think if that was me and that was my child, I would have got away. I would have got out of that situation no matter what. So I can't forgive that.
Alicia says the family has been ripped apart and that someone who brought such joy is now a huge void in all their lives. Jason Farrell, Sky News.
Mm. Yes, I'm still here. That deserves a minute of just letting it sink in, I think. That along with her great-grandfather, her great-granddad, who said Star Hobson went to hell before she ever went to heaven. That's a pretty profound statement from him about how he feels of what happened to her. I don't understand social workers or people seeing this and think this is a fall. I mean, you can see it right here on her eye, up into her skull, on her neck. I bet if you took off this t-shirt, you can see further down on her body, because her neck and her face and this whole side of her body is black and blue. Here's more when it turns brown, I guess. So it's all unfathomable. Star Hobson's death. Balloons were released in a vigil for her on the day she died, which was September 22nd, 2020. Star suffered a cardiac arrest and died in the hospital on September 22nd, 2020. Pink and yellow balloons were released during the vigil at Roberts Park in in South Tower in Saturday. Star's mother, Frankie, 20, and her partner, Savannah Brockhill, they're on trial, and they both deny the murder. Star's godfather, Jake Loudons, said he organized the vigil for people to pay tribute and show support to Star's family. They created a fellowship called a memorial bench, I guess, of 1,000,000 tears. He said more than 3,400 lira had been raised for up for 5 memorial benches, with 2 being donated to Star's father and great grandmother, and the rest planned for local parks, including one near Star's home. That way, they said they will be able to see her name so that she's never forgotten. He said that some of the money raised on an online fundraiser page would also go towards Star's family because they deserve it. Star's great grandmother, Anita Smith, and her partner, David Fawcett, said the toddler had touched a lot of people's hearts. 1,000,000 tears have been shed for her. The trial at Bradford Crown Court has heard how the 16-month-old suffered a catalog of injuries before her death. Miss Smith and Miss Brockhill also deny causing or allowing the death of that child. That I don't really know how they can. I guess I understand Brockhill more than I do the mother. I mean, they gave her a lighter sentence. Let me see if I can find where. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm running into everything now. Frankie only got like, I don't think I wrote it down somewhere. She only got, let me see if I can find it. I'm trying to get this book out the way. And I'm not doing a very good job of it either. Hold on one second. I'm making a lot of noise in the back. I know that. I'm sorry. I usually have my stuff together better. Let me see. I'm trying to look up. I don't know if it ever told us what they got. I really don't remember that. I know that Brockhill got a really long sentence, and the mother did not. I mean, she got a sentence, but she didn't get a really long one. Okay, let's see. I mean, because Brockhill said made it known that she she made sure that they knew that. Okay, Brockhill was, when it all got said and done, Brockhill was 28, Frankie was 20. But she was found not guilty of murder. and not guilty of the alternative charge of manslaughter, but was found guilty of causing or allowing the death of her daughter. So I know that Brock Hill too. She didn't want to go to court. She just said, tell me what they want to give me and I'll take it. Like if they would have said life, she said, okay, I'll take it. If they were to say 20 years, she said, okay, I'll take it. She did not want to go through a trial. And I don't think it's right that Frankie gets away with just, Brock Hill 28 gets a life sentence for murdering 16-month-old Star, and the mother was sentenced to 8 years. See, I don't like that. The woman who murdered Star Hobson after inflicting catastrophic injuries has been jailed for life with a minimum of 25 years. With a minimum of 25 years, because just like I said, Star was caught in the crossfire of this stuff. And Frankie Smith, Star's mother, the one who actually had her, was jailed for 8 years after she was found guilty of allowing the cause or allowing the man. I don't know. I just don't think that's right. I just don't. Low IQ or not, she should have been found way more guilty. I'm sorry. I think they deserve the same term. That's just my opinion. I think they deserve the same exact term. 25 to life works for me, even if it didn't work for them. And this is the only thing I need to see to make that decision. I have one more video to show y'all. It's kind of a recap of the whole thing. So I hope that it covers enough to honor this little girl. I hope it covers enough for people to get a clear picture of what she went through.
Hi, my name's Dr. Catherine Hughes from Crime Psych. A couple of weeks ago, I released a video showing what happened from Star Hobson's birth until her death in September 2020. I will leave the link to that video in the description. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at some of the psychology behind Frankie, which was Star's mum, and Savannah, who was her partner. Savannah was given a life sentence, and Frankie was initially given a sentence of 8 years. That sentence given to Frankie was highly criticised for being too lenient, and as you'll see as we go through this video, you'll begin to realise exactly why. When I was gathering all of the information, there were some points at which I could empathise with Frankie, and there were other times that I just wondered how she could do that and neglect her own child. To give you a very brief summary, Savannah was a controlling narcissist and Frankie was a victim to coercive control within their relationship. However, Frankie failed to protect their daughter despite knowing the danger that Savannah posed. Star Hobson was born on the 21st of May 2019, and that was to Frankie Smith and Jordan Hobson. Frankie was about to turn 18. So Frankie and Jordan separated and Frankie lived at home with her mum. She did have another relationship with somebody else, but it was an on-off type relationship. There was some tension in the house because Frankie would leave Star with a dirty nappy on and wait until her mum stepped in and took over. 18 is a very young age to have a baby, and nothing really quite prepares you for what is to come on that journey. Frankie was fairly immature and she hadn't had much responsibility or been independent before this point. Her mum had provided and done everything for her until this point in her life, so it isn't really very surprising that she did have difficulty taking on responsibility for Star. Frankie was at an age where most of her friends would have been going out drinking and having fun, but Frankie wasn't able to do that as much as she perhaps would have liked to, and it was only natural that she would have struggled, but she did have the support of her family to help her through it. Frankie went on holiday with a friend called Holly, and she left Star with her quite a lot to go out drinking on that holiday. So following that, Holly reported her to social services. Holly made that call because she was concerned that Frankie wasn't taking responsibility for Star. She wasn't feeding her very well, and she'd lost weight before she went to live with her great-grandmother. Anyone with a baby at that age will know how difficult it is. There's the lack of sleep, there's the hormones affecting mood, and it's difficult at that age having responsibility for a baby. She would have likely have been torn between wanting to go out and have fun and staying at home with her baby. She would often go out to the pub with her mum, and it was on a night out when she met Savannah Brockhill. Frankie was 18 and Savannah was 26 when they met. Frankie's mum was quite surprised when they started dating because Frankie had never shown any interest in women before that point. Savannah was loud, confident, cocky, she was very articulate and she spoke well. And those were qualities that interested Frankie and drew Frankie towards her. From a psychological perspective, Frankie was perhaps likely to be feeling lost and out of her depth with this new level of responsibility that she had. And Savannah would have likely to have been seen as a source of comfort and reassurance to Frankie. They had a very turbulent relationship, and Savannah was very controlling and very demanding. Frankie struggled to take good care of Star, and Star would frequently have a sore bottom because of nappy rash. Her mum found her upset in her bedroom one day, crying, saying that the relationship with Savannah was over. At that point, it was agreed with the family that Star would go and stay with Frankie's grandmother. Social services closed the gates against her because they concluded that Frankie was taking good enough care of Star with the support of her family members. Savannah was very controlling from the very start of their relationship. Savannah was already friends with Frankie's sister, Alicia. Savannah used this existing relationship to find out where Frankie was and what she was doing. That was evident with the text exchange that took place between Savannah and Alicia.
CBA and your sister's not even been in contact, so done with her. Don't be done with me, I'm your best friend, but I'm not right, don't even know about her. I bought tickets, I could have stayed at home. Have you heard from her? Seriously Alicia, please tell me where your sister is. Babe, I don't know, she said at hospital with Imogen and hasn't replied to me and said she has no service. I swear, Alicia, I'm fuming. She's with a guy. Who? Someone just came up to me and told me. I don't know, I'm fuming. They said he split with Frankie and she's already moved on and is with that guy. Honestly, I'm like the devil. OMG. No way. WTF. I'll flip. I have no idea. Babe, are you okay? I so wish I was with you. No babe. I'm so sorry, I wish I could change this for you. I have tried everything I can. What are you doing? I didn't think she would do this to me. Me neither, it's probably why she lied to me. I'll flip tomorrow. I can imagine. I'm so hurt. I love her so much. I never thought she would do this. I know. I'm so sad for you. Enjoy your night, babe. Serious Alicia. Honestly, something needs to be sorted because this can't keep going on. Message her. Find out if she's with someone. I'll message her now. I've texted her. I'm broken. I'll stab someone tonight. I swear. I'll go to your mum's after here. Watch. She's everything. I'm not having it. I thought she was being dodgy earlier. I'll tell you if she replies. Alicia, why would she do it? I swear, Alicia, I don't care about kids in the house. I'll rage. F asterisk asterisk it. They'll need to have police to take me away. IS asterisk asterisk you, not kids or not, I'll find her. Alicia, I didn't think you'd lie to me. Where is she? I'm not lying, I don't even know where she is. I'm done with you two lying for her. I've only ever done good for you. Please, Alicia, tell me, then I know. I'm not lying, believe me. She's a liar, I'm sick of it. Tell her I'm coming. I've been on the phone and found out all sorts. I'm fuming. Ring her, get in touch. I've been to the house and no answer. Your sister is a liar. She wasn't with her. OMG, see, I wasn't lying to you. She told me the same. She was at hospital and needed some time alone.
She would get very angry with Frankie when she went out because she thought that, or she said that, she should be at home looking after Star. And that led to the first public altercation between them. There was an argument in a pub toilet, and as they were walking out, someone reached and touched Savannah's shoulder from behind, at which point she swung around and hit the person behind her, which was Frankie. Following the altercation in the pub toilet, Savannah texted a friend telling her that she almost killed them that night.
I need help, I think XX. Okay, why? What's up? Mentally XX. Okay, what's happening? I tried to kill me and Frankie last night XWTF. Why? How? Tried to drive off a cliff. Frankie moved the wheel. Why? She ended up with a hiding, see no evil. I'm out of control. Honestly, I just can't. I just lose it. Why WTF? Dunno, just had enough XX. Of what? You have time to talk. I'll call you soon X. Yeah XX.
She clearly lacks the ability to act rationally when she's angered. It's clear that Savannah has bouts of very explosive rage. She wasn't happy that Frankie was out and she said that she should be at home with Star. However, it isn't very likely at all that she was bothered about Star. It was much more likely that she was angry because she couldn't have control over what Frankie was saying or what she was doing when she was out. Frankie took Star back to her mother's house one day and she texted Anita, the great-grandmother, to say that she was going to stay at home overnight with her mum. On that day, though, David, who was the grandmother's partner, looked out of the window and saw Frankie and Star getting into Savannah's car. He told the court that his heart sank when he saw her. All of the family had concerns about Frankie's relationship with Savannah. They were aware of how controlling and dominant Savannah was being. The family had heard that Savannah's anger did sometimes turn to physical aggression. And because of this, Anita, the grandmother, reported them again to social services. A few videos were shown in court that showed Frankie being a bit mean and acting unloving towards Star. There were videos of Star being woken up by shouts, falling off chairs and falling asleep during meal times. And although none of these videos could be described as abusive as such, they did show Frankie being abrupt and, acting in an unloving way towards Star. I would say that this is most likely due to Frankie's level of immaturity. There were videos of Star shown in the court from Savannah's phone too, and there were some text exchanges with friends about Star. It became clear that Savannah was taking an authoritative role with both Star and Frankie. The psychological hierarchy within that relationship clearly showed Savannah as being the dominant one, telling Frankie what she should be doing and how she should be acting towards Star. And then there was a text exchange between Frankie and David, the grandmother's partner, and that suggested that there was an element of distrust. There was an indication of mistrust within this following text exchange, which is also likely to have been fueled by Savannah telling Frankie that her family were out together.
I've heard you've been to pick up my daughter. Please don't do that. If anyone makes more contact, I'll call the police. Don't you ever touch Star again. Picking her up. Return messages not documented. She's our Star, she's our baby. Don't you ever come near her again. I do love you, David, but I never thought you'd try and take Star away from me.
After Frankie moved in to her own flat, Frankie, Savannah and Star went out for dinner with Yvonne, Frankie's mum. Star wasn't eating her food, and Savannah made her face the wall in the restaurant. Yvonne did complain, and Frankie told her, "It's my daughter, I'll bring her up how I want." It is impossible to say with 100% accuracy, but Frankie possibly wouldn't behaved in that way towards Star if it weren't for Savannah telling her what to do. At this point, I think it's important to highlight Frankie's age and immaturity again. Savannah was 8 years older than her and much more forthright and confident and obviously dominant. The type of relationship they'd had together was more of a domineering parent telling a child what they could or couldn't do, or what they should be doing or shouldn't be doing. Frankie was still at an age where she was only just evolving into living a more independent life. Because of Savannah's dominant personality, she was immediately and easily slotted herself into Frankie's life and expected her to do what she said and controlled who she spoke to and what she said. I think it is important to appreciate at this point that I am not going to be defending or justifying Frankie's behaviour in any way. She completely failed to protect her daughter and was rightly convicted of causing or allowing her death. And that can't be justified by saying, oh, she was young, she was in an abusive relationship, she was immature, and so on. But at the beginning of their relationship, she was very much influenced and controlled by Savannah, which was partly due to this age and immaturity. Just a side note to say that if you're enjoying this video, please consider supporting me on Patreon. There are different levels of access to exclusive information, and they start from just the price of a cup of coffee. If you do enjoy profiling and criminal psychology, head on over to my website and have a look at some of the courses that are available on there, as well as the ebooks, blogs and vlogs. All of the links are in the video description. Back to Frankie then. All of Frankie's family were very concerned about her and Star and just how controlling Savannah was. They saw Frankie with bruises on her face and they knew that they were likely to have been caused by Savannah. They'd also noticed bruises on Star. And they did challenge Frankie and ask her about these bruises. But Frankie had said that the bruises on Star were from all the little tumbles and falls that she had. Alicia, Frankie's sister, kept in contact with Star's father, Jordan. She'd sent him pictures and videos showing some bruising on Star, and so then he reported that to social services. Social services and the police attended, and Alicia told them that she felt sorry for Frankie because it was all Savannah's doing. David, Star's great-grandfather, commented on a picture on social media, asking what was going on. During a phone call with Savannah, he asked her why, whenever Star was with her, she was covered in bruises. Savannah said, all children get bruises. But then he said that when Star stayed with them, she never had any bruises, and he went on to ask why Frankie also had bruises and she wasn't a child, at which point Savannah simply hung up the phone. Frankie would constantly defend her, saying Star got the bruises from falling over, and said that she knew that she should leave that relationship, and it would be impossible to say whether or not Frankie ever saw Savannah hurting Star. But she did know that Savannah had a temper and would fly off in fits of explosive rage and sometimes hit her. Everyone in the family was growing very concerned for Star and Frankie. Frankie's auntie Melissa, which was her mum's sister, picked Frankie up one day and asked her why she didn't have Star with her. Frankie told her that Becky, a friend, had turned up and flattened Savannah and threatened her. But she said that it had all calmed down now, so it was okay to leave Star with him. And that indicates to me that she was clearly ignoring the harm that she was leaving Star in. If somebody had turned up at my house shouting and screaming and threatening violence, there is no way I would leave my children there. On another occasion, Melissa heard part of a conversation on the phone between Savannah and Frankie, in which she said that Star had been sick. Melissa told Frankie to take Star to the doctors, but she said that she didn't want to take her to the doctors because she thought Star would be taken off her for any reason whatsoever. Star had a black eye at that time, and again, this is clear and blatantly ignoring the harm done to Star. Social services were notified a few times with concerns. On one occasion, Star was taken for a medical examination. However, they concluded that the marks on her could have been caused accidentally. Therefore, they closed the case again. Rebecca, Frankie's best friend, had concerns over a period of time about how Frankie was being treated by Savannah. She'd even heard Savannah tell Frankie that she was going to get it when they got home. She even saw her with black eyes, and Frankie told her that Savannah had given them to her, but she didn't know why. There were more videos shown in court of Star being told off and treated roughly and made to stand in the corner. She then starts a text exchange, which went as follows.
I'm devastated. What did she say? Asterisk sent a screenshot of her conversation with Smith to the friend. Asterisk sent a photo of Star holding her hand while asleep under a blanket. Oh my girl, poor kid. Asterisk sent a photo of Star with a bag of peas on her cheek. I keep putting these on for 10 minutes every 20 minutes.
It's both possible and likely that she was trying to make it look as though Frankie had caused the bruising. Following that, Savannah did a search for "Does toothpaste take bruising away?" A few days after this, there was an audio recording of Star and Frankie, and it went as follows.
Have you calmed down? I won't calm down until you stop keeping this child from me. I'll murder ya. Why are you getting so angry? You expect me to sit here and not flip at you? Frankie, you're starting again over nothing because you've got some vodka in you. You're taking this child away from me. Oi, who are you talking to? Enough of that. I'm coming to see you in the morning. I'll murder ya. I know you will, that's why I won't sleep with you anymore. You're sleeping with Becky now. No, I'm not. I wanted to marry you, but now I want to murder you. I'll strangle you. You wonder why I'm not coming round you much anymore. Because you're cheating on me. If you were here tonight, God help ya. Please calm down. I'll kill ya. I'd do time for ya. Am I going round with other women? No, you are. No, I'm not. You're telling me a lot about you now. All I've done is love and support you. Look what you've turned me into. I'd do anything for Star. I adore her. I know you adore her. You make me so angry. I'll murder ya. I'll strangle every bit of life out of you. I have never been like this. You get me to the point where I could murder ya. You've been telling me that you don't want to be here, that you want to be dead. I do. I'll do it. Stop that talk. You want to leave your baby without a mother? Carry on with this attitude and I'll strangle the life out of you. Why are you lying to me? You're meant to be my girlfriend, my fiancé. What if I needed you for Star? Lies, lies and more lies. All you are is a liar. Alright, wait till you get here tomorrow. Why have you got someone else's number saved under Chloe? No, I don't. You've seen all my numbers, all the boys' numbers. You've seen everything. You've lied to me and said it's because you're scared of me and fearful of my reaction. Why say that? I'm not scared of you. I'll murder you. I'll give you it. See that vase in the living room? You'll get knocked out with it. Let me ask you. You said she, Star, banged it off the bed. Did she actually? Oh my God, my baby banged her head off the bed. Do you duck her under the water? I did. You do. I did, but who does it for longer? I'm taking you to court because I am done with all this abuse. I will go to hell and back for Star. When you come here in the morning, you'll get that vase over your head. I'm scared you're going to kill the pair of you. Tonight, yes. I'm keeping Star. You are not keeping my child. Who did she come out of? You. Me. I would die for that child. Have a few days. I don't want a few days. You're bringing my child back tomorrow? I'll ring the police. You ring the police and they'll ask why she's black and blue. Don't pin the bruises on me.
During that conversation, we can see Savannah trying to place the blame on Frankie, asking her why she's getting so angry. She uses gaslighting techniques when she says to Frankie, Frankie, you're starting again over nothing because you've got some vodka in you. She's trying to place the blame on Frankie and say that it's her fault and she's just making it up or making it more than what it needed to be because she's had some alcohol. All through that conversation, Savannah is placing the blame on Frankie when she says things like, and you wonder why I'm not coming round much anymore. When Frankie accuses her of being unfaithful, Savannah denies it, but of course we now know that it's true. Savannah denies it and she says, "No, I'm not. You're telling me a lot about you right now." And she's deflecting the blame and wrongdoing onto Frankie. Savannah takes none of the blame when Frankie says, "All I've done is love you and support you. Look at what you've turned me into." Savannah replied with, "I'd do anything for Star. I adore her." This is quite cunning. Psychologically, Savannah is using Star as one of her many tools to disarm Frankie and make her believe that she actually cares about them. Yet again, Savannah places the blame firmly at Frankie's feet by saying, "Why are you lying to me? You're meant to be my girlfriend, my fiancée. What if I needed you for Star? Lies, lies, and more lies. All you are is a liar." And then asking, "Why have you got somebody else's number saved under Chloe on your phone?" The argument moves on to Savannah asking if Star really did bang her head off the bed, making it seem as though she was suspicious of Frankie, that she might have caused the bruises on purpose. It's undermining her all the time, creating little seeds of doubt, and it seems as though Savannah wants her to feel defensive over this bruising. That way, Frankie would be much more likely to agree that the bruises were caused by accidents, even when Savannah had her. Then we get a glimpse of just how involved Frankie had been in abusing Star. Savannah asked, "Do you duck her under the water?" And Frankie answers, "I do, but you do it for longer." Again, Savannah blames Frankie for abusing Star again by saying, "I'm taking you to court because I'm done with all of this abuse. I will go to hell and back for Star." And when Frankie threatens her with the police, Savannah replies, "You ring the police and they'll ask you why she's black and blue." The following day, there were more searches on Savannah's phone for "Does pseudocreme take away bruises?" and "Is swallowing witch hazel dangerous?" Savannah texted a friend telling her that it was the bed that caused Star's bruises and sent her photos saying that she was there when she did it. Show clip 5179. Savannah had previously created doubt in other people's minds and implies that the harm had been carried out by Frankie. She then makes it sound as though she's so concerned that she's investigating it and tells the friend that yes, she believes it was an accident. However, that doubt is still going to be there, and any suspicion is going to be directed towards Frankie. When I was putting together all of the information from the court transcripts, I really wanted to highlight the ways in which controlling and coercive abuse happens in real time with real people. It isn't always obvious, and the abuser will create doubts and perceptions to make themselves look more innocent or even look like the victim. In the days that followed, there were a number of worrying searches carried out on Savannah's phone. She searched things such as what happens when you bend baby's fingers back, what happens when you get punched in the abdomen, abdominal trauma, what does bending your fingers back do, and babies bending their fingers back. And this shows that there was a clear intent to cause harm. To Savannah, her phone was private and nobody else saw these searches. Obviously, she'd never thought that police would have access to that information. Don't forget, we are now having a glimpse behind the scenes of what Savannah was like. The friend that she was texting was made to believe that Frankie was causing harm and causing the bruises on Star. Frankie never knew about Savannah seeing somebody else. Savannah had manufactured Frankie's world so that she was the main person in her life. She told her sister that Frankie wasn't going to unblock her. Savannah had been telling Frankie from behind closed doors that her family were out to get her and tried to take her baby off her. Frankie was made to believe that Savannah was the only person who cared about her and Star. In August, Savannah searched "What can snap your ankle? Toddler not putting weight on heel." And later in August, Savannah searched as well "Reason for eyes going bloodshot" and "How to dry drown someone." There was also a search about glaucoma on there as well. And all of these searches show that the abuse to Star wasn't a spur of the moment thing. These were planned attacks. We know that on August the 18th, Savannah texted Alicia, Frankie's sister, again.
I saw the auntie. She told me what Frankie has been saying and has voice notes. I have never beat Frankie. She's telling you different. I'm done with her. Only so many lies I'll let slide. Just want you to know the truth. Brock Hill, I told you months ago about these lies playing you off against you. I miss my baby sister so much. She is my niece. Frankie went mad at us last night for the aunt putting a photo up. Does she really have to be so scared of you seeing it? She says the bruises are from you. As with the names, it's childish. The only person who matters is Star.
She claims that she didn't do the things that Frankie is saying that she did. She uses the word truth a lot in an attempt to sound more believable. What she's saying without actually saying it is that Frankie is a liar. Alicia responds as the very loving sister and aunt that she is by pushing that to one side and saying Star is the most important person. Following this, there's evidence of Savannah putting herself between Frankie and her sister, as was shown in the following text exchange.
Strange a day for me to see Star. Don't really want to have to sort it through you, but Frankie has blocked me, so don't know what to do. No, sorry, that won't be happening with Star. She will drop your things off tonight. I don't want to be in the middle. Had enough of what's going on and accusations from last week. Whose decision is that? But yours or Frankie's? Where have the bruises come from? I know Frankie is a liar, but you are both as bad as each other. Frankie is here with me and won't unblock you. You do best to leave her alone. You always think you have a say. She's my niece, she's my flesh. I'll always be around, or just some ding.
Savannah knew that she'd failed in her attempt to convince Alicia that Frankie was the one who was lying. That's why she then made Frankie block her and wouldn't allow Alicia to talk to her. Once a person is of no further use to a narcissist, they simply ignore them, or they treat them in a matter-of-fact way, being very cold towards them. In the days that followed, Savannah made more searches for how cold you have to be to shiver. Will massaging make bruises better? What can somebody being nasty then nice do psychologically? And then nasty nice disorder. In the meantime, Frankie is sending messages back and forth with a social worker who's been trying to arrange a date to see her, and Frankie puts her off again. A few days later, Frankie and Savannah were texting each other. Frankie said that Savannah threatens her and that she's scared of her. Savannah asks her if she's been drinking and just taking it out on her. Savannah tells her to stop playing games, that she's coming together, and that if she was with a boy, she's in trouble. Again, Savannah's being dominant and aggressive. Frankie had tried to end the relationship a few times, but Savannah just keeps on acting like it's not over after a few days. Moving on then to the 28th of August, Savannah and Frankie were texting each other after a picture of Star was put on social media. And these pictures showed bruising on Star.
That's the video. It makes it look like she's bruised up. It looks like they've put makeup on her. I'm not getting you involved. This is all on me. No, no, no. Sai, you haven't spoken to me in a while. No. Please, for me, just say you message asking how Star is and that's it. I'm not getting you stressed and upset. No, they know that's false. I'm always with you. If she had bruises like that, it wouldn't have gone in 2 days, and she has mum now. That's makeup to make it look worse. Take videos and photos of now. She's asleep. I'll do it when she wakes up. I'm so sorry, it's all my fault. Don't come round next week. Are you effing serious? She won't even come to me, she cried. That's what I don't get. Takes video saying, look at me, and films the side of Star's head where the marks were. Had to throw Star's nice pink dress because blood and mud wouldn't come out. We'll get another. I've got nothing, no food or money. I've given you money. No for food. I'll get some when I get paid. If they come tomorrow, what will they think? We've got tinned food, bread and milk. Takes and sends picture of Star. Look how evil. Put her in the corner. She's put lipstick all over the wall and herself. Takes and sends photo of Star stood in the corner facing the wall. She walked off, so I told her to go back and she did. She took her hands off and I told her to put them back and she did. Tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy. Good, keep her there for 15 minutes. Picture and text to Anita. They put makeup on her. I've shown the social worker everything to prove Star is okay. They are all saying I won't have Star by the end of tomorrow. I don't know what to do with myself. I'll just die if they take her. How can they? I've got these pictures from when she fell walking to yours and into the bed. Look at her cheeky face. Tell them you get regular visits. Why would you do that on her face? Making her walk. Now it's tucked itself. Followed by a photo of Star crawling on a tarmac floor. Pick her up and make her go again. She'll be fine. Wouldn't hold her hand. On the road though. She'll be fine. Photo of Star sat on the floor of a shop crying. Rip her up when she gets home. She goes in the corner for 20 minutes. Oh, it got worse. It threw itself in front of a bunch of boys. I even got her chocolate and she threw it on the floor. Well, she gets nothing else. Don't know why you did when she's acting like that. Because I love her, rewarding her for bad behavior. Corner her. It's ridiculous. I was going to take her to the park, but she's not going now. Sent a video and multiple images of Star and said, put them on Facebook.
Early on in that exchange, you see Frankie begging Savannah to say that she hasn't seen her. Frankie was most likely worried about how Savannah will react to what other people will say. But Savannah refuses to say that she's not been with her and made it sound as if this was an act of solidarity. As the text exchange goes on, Savannah texts supportively, still saying that she'll pay for the food and get another dress. Then it moves on to Frankie sending a photo saying, look how evil, with Savannah telling her, put her in the corner. Domestic abuse can be evident in a number of ways. They can be extremely jealous and possessive. Domestic abuse could be a person who's very charming and very loving one minute, but then abusive the next. They might isolate their partner and slowly steer you away from friends and family who are their support network. They might constantly criticise you or put you down or embarrass you in front of friends or in front of family. They might tell you that you're useless and make you think that you couldn't cope without them or you couldn't control your finances. They might tell you what to wear, who to see, where to go, what to think. They might threaten, intimidate or hit you, smash furniture up, frighten you into complying with their demands, and this is exactly what we see Savannah doing to Frankie. The coercive methods that enable one human being to enslave another are consistent no matter what the situation. The perpetrator becomes the most powerful person in the victim's life, and their psychology is shaped by the abuser's actions and beliefs. In the second half of their text exchange, Frankie calls Star evil and calls her it. Savannah goes on to tell Frankie that she should pick her up and make her walk, adding that she shouldn't hold her hand. Now we're talking about a baby that's not long turned one, having to walk along a road without having her hand held. My boys didn't even start to walk until they were around 1. And there's no way a child of that age should be walking unaided by a road. Frankie does question this, but she does as she's told anyway, and she continues to use disgusting language about her own daughter, saying it's chucked itself on the ground now. Frankie has been consistently told how naughty and how bad Star is by Savannah, to such an extent that she's then took on these views. Savannah tells her to put her against the wall when they get in for 20 minutes. Putting a baby against a wall for that long is just horrifically cruel. Savannah tells her that she shouldn't have bought her the chocolate, telling her that she's ridiculous for rewarding her bad behaviour. A social worker tried to make contact with Frankie at the beginning of September, and then Frank, Star's paternal grandfather, made a report to social services. The social worker and the police did attend, and they were told that Frankie was in Scotland. Later that same day, Frankie made a phone call to her doctors saying that Star had fell and cut her lip. She was then told to call 111, but no call was ever made. And this would have been done as a way to cover up, knowing that the social services wanted to come out and visit them. She made that call so it would be recorded as an accident on her medical records. This is a major failure on Frankie's behalf. It suggests that she doesn't just allow Star to be harmed, she actively tries to cover it up. It may have been because she was afraid of Savannah, but it was at the expense of her daughter's well-being. Frankie then made contact with the social worker, asking for their meeting to be moved to next week due to family stuff, as she put in the text. The social worker texted to say, yeah, it was fine and she could ring on Monday to rearrange. That was on the 3rd of September, and social services made an unannounced visit on the 4th, and the case was closed 3 days later. A few days later, there was a text exchange between Frankie and Savannah. In it, Savannah tries to get Frankie to feel sorry for her by telling her that, oh, my mum's been on my mind a lot. Frankie says that she thought Star was missing her because she stared at the door when she left. In reality, she was probably staring at the door because she was terrified if she would come back. Savannah says just how much she loves Star, and she's strict because she needs it. Frankie tells her that she does go too far sometimes. She knows Savannah goes too far, but she still allows her access to Star. Yet again, this is a huge failure to protect her daughter. Here's how the conversation went.
I feel like I've lost myself. My mum's been on my mind a lot. Has it got something to do with me 'cause I'm a girl? No, not at all. I just feel so ashamed for all the wrong I've done. You lost your mum, you're bound to be upset and angry. It's normal, and to do the wrong things, you just have to try and control it. Upset leaving Star today, seeing her face and how she wouldn't let go of me. I know it upset her too. Her face dropped when I tried to pass her to you, she wouldn't let go. Star just stared at the door after you went. Because I love her. I know I'm strict, but she needs it. Sometimes you go too far. I know. She's crying now. Don't let her be naughty today. Please be firm. She's mine too, I'll deal with her how I do. We're a lot different, I'm softer than you. That's when she starts going bad because there's two different ways. Don't let her get her own way by throwing tantrums. Sends photo of Star crying. Like now, put her straight in the corner even if it's only for 2 minutes. She needs to know she can't get away with it. Sometimes you go too far. Seen your sister, she asked where you were. It's okay. Star won't eat, she's throwing it back at me and screaming. Smack her hand and put her in the corner. She's eating now. Why is she going on like this? It only eats with you, she's shouting your name. Now her mouth's bleeding and I don't know where from.
Frankie says it only eats with you and she's shouting your name. Now her mouth's bleeding and I don't know where from. She's giving Savannah the power and she's agreeing that Savannah was right. Savannah consistently uses Star as a weapon to hurt Frankie. She tells her that she's too soft and it's her fault for always giving in to her tantrums. All as a way to make her feel less capable and less confident and feeling as though that she needs Savannah to help her with Star. We then move on to the 11th of September. Frankie cancels yet another social worker appointment. Then Savannah takes Star. Frankie gives Savannah all of the power again via text, asking for permission to go out.
8:55 p.m. Can I go to town? Please. If you want, it's your weekend. Our baby, thanks.
Savannah searched several more concerning phrases, such as how long does it take to be traumatised and emotional and psychological trauma. The next day, she searches raw orange squash in the eye. What do you do when you get orange squash in your eye? What part of your body gets cold first? Do you bruise more when you're cold? What happens when the body goes into shock? She has calls and texts with Frankie and she shows her pictures of marks on Star's face. That evening, there's more texts that went as follows.
6:45 p.m. Fell asleep eating chocolate. Ruined herself ex. Haha, that's my girl. Have you had hold of her fingers 'cause they look swollen? No, it's the way the photo is. Show me Star. Pee off. What do you mean? So I can't see my own child now. Getting on my nerves now. Because you won't show me my child. I want her back here at 7 a.m. then you can leave. F you. I mean it. Started over nothing. And I do. Who do you think you're talking to? Who do you think you are? Don't want to be with you. That's it, I'm done with it all. I just want Star. Sends video where marks and scratches are visible on Star. The next time she's kicking off like this, don't ask me for help. This is ridiculous behavior for a child to throw herself and scream herself and pinch like this. She's out of control. You won't be involved next time. All that through trying to feed her. That's not normal. I know what she does. Yes, then she ends up marked up and bruised up like she does, and it looks like abuse. She never gets bruised like that with me. I've videoed everyone. No more am I getting accused of it. Don't then, I'll ask Becky to have her when I go out. No more, it's a joke. I'm looking for help, she needs help, something has to be done. Searches child psychologist. 7:46 p.m. I'll let you be you. I don't want to be involved with it. Ring me when you're outside tomorrow and I'll come and get her and bath her.
Frankie even asks if Savannah has had hold of her fingers because they looked swollen. Obviously Savannah says no, and Frankie just simply accepts this. This could have been because she was too afraid to challenge her, or it could have been that she wanted to be out having fun and have other people look after Star. CCTV was played in court of Savannah taking Star to work with her, and it showed her falling out of the car. Savannah infers that Frankie needs her help because Star is out of control. But Frankie retaliates, and Savannah shows some traits that are very, very narcissistic. When Frankie retaliates like that, Savannah would have been furious. She's very controlling and she expects to get her own way. She lashes out at anyone who challenges her. Sadly, there's evidence that she took it out on Star that night, as she made searches on her phone for "Can you die from being winded?" What happens to the body when it's not getting enough oxygen? What happens to tissue when it's not getting enough oxygen? They spoke over FaceTime, and in the next text exchange, Savannah complains that she's being made to not feel like a parent and that she'll make arrangements to see Star. Somebody with narcissistic traits will use any means they can to have control of their victim. When Savannah brings Star home the next day, Frankie texts to say the marks on this baby are ridiculous. What's happened to her foot? And then she goes on to say, I'm not blaming you, by the way, I'm just asking. On the 14th of September at 10:33, CCTV shows Savannah bringing Star home again. 12:37, Frankie texts Savannah, the marks on this baby is ridiculous. What's happened to her foot? I'm not blaming you, by the way, I'm just asking.
11 a.m. Can I ask why you always tell people how naughty Star is? I want you to stay away from us. All her fingers are bruised. 12.36 bruised and swollen, the same as her foot. 12.48 WTF has she done? You can't say that's happened with me when yesterday it wasn't like that. You said you had her fingers. No, it wasn't like that and you know it. Bruising is only just coming out. You want to see, they are all over. It wasn't with me, they are all blue. You only brought her back yesterday. P off, I have all the photos here, F off. I think it's best you don't see us. She can't be left to throw herself, it's too dangerous. She has to be stopped from doing it like a brat. The way you have her, it's a joke. Sends photo of Star crying. Like now, 9:50 p.m. we will speak for Star, we are over. Give over silly girl X, Star needs all my attention. Tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy, now that baby laugh again. I'm never giving her it and that's why she's acting so naughty. F my life, tears of joy, now you're really spitting out the jokes. She's mine too, I'll deal with her how I do, we're a lot different, I'm softer than you. That's when she starts going bad because there's two different ways. Don't let her get her own way by throwing tantrums.
Frankie said to Savannah she can't be left to throw herself, it's too dangerous, which indicates that she thought Star had got the bruising from falling. And this can be a common psychological tactic that people use to protect themselves. Finding out that your lover, who you absolutely adore, is an abuser means that your original picture of them is then threatened. This can create a lot of stress and pain within a person, and to restore harmony, the mind simply deletes the bits of information that it finds too uncomfortable to deal with. However, on the 17th of September, Frankie searches how much to get an injunction, and she visits a website titled How to Get an Injunction If You've Been the Victim of Domestic Abuse. And this shows that she had some awareness that Savannah was controlling and that she needed some sort of protection from her. However, text a few days later sees Frankie asking for permission to go out for lunch again.
11:48 a.m. Is it okay if I go Toby Covery tomorrow? Who with? Mam and Craig. Is it okay if I go?
In the days that followed, there were several text exchanges with contrasting tones. Sometimes Frankie is telling her that it's over, but then sending a video of Star. It almost seems as though Frankie doesn't know where the relationship is. She doesn't know if they've broken up or they're still together. It seems as though Frankie knows that she had to break free, but when it came to it, she actually couldn't. In a text, Savannah demands Frankie answer her phone in the following text exchange.
9:58 a.m. I'm going now. I'm not with you, so I don't need to speak to you. Can you message, redacted, and say thank you for apologizing to me? Answer your phone now. You never called. F you, I can't be bothered with you and your ways and the tramps of family you have. Goodbye then. Goodbye, just like redacted you are. Just leave me alone. You're so ignorant. If you think that of me, then you don't want me. F off, Frankie. You're nothing but trouble on your family. All you've brought me is trouble, lies and tramp ways. My family always said stop mixing with the lower class. I should have listened. Okay.
The next text exchange in court was of Savannah telling Frankie that she loves her. And this will have been a tactic to try and draw Frankie back in. Frankie says it's over, but then asks if she's having Star on Friday.
Hey, 50 p.m. I do love you, my girl. Just so you know, we aren't together after what you said to me earlier. I'm going to the pub for a bit. Tears of joy, thumbs up emoji. What? Are you having Star on Friday or what? No. Okay, Becky will have her. Okay. Text me it's over. Frankie, go get F'd off from me today. Silly C. Ha ha ha, I don't need you in my life. Get gone, you little vermin, you bad omen. Your family was right about you. You need Linfield Mount. Ha 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 ha, goodbye. Crack on F off then. You who acts innocent but is a Bryce. Go away with your horrible mouth, we don't need you. Tears of joy. Accuses Frankie of pouring herself around all the pubs.
When Frankie asks her to say that it's over, it does indicate that she doesn't know where the relationship is and she's asking for clarification. Savannah is loving and attentive 1 minute and awful to her the next. And this leaves Frankie not knowing where she stands. When it comes to domestic abuse of any kind, the victim will often be hurt by the person that they love. However, they'll have a tendency to seek comfort from the same person. The abuser, in this case Savannah, manipulates and controls her world and makes Frankie feel inferior as though she just simply couldn't manage without her. Those who are abusive can show so much love and so much kindness that it can be easy to forgive them in those moments. Abusers tend to love bomb you. They are so loving, so affectionate between these little instances of abuse. And I know that if you're in that situation, it can feel so good in those in-between bits of loving that you stay. There are millions of people who love their partner so much that they're willing to believe the lie when they're told that they're sorry and they promise it won't ever happen again. Frankie texts Savannah again to say that she's concerned about Star's foot.
Think I'm going to take Star to hospital. She's doing that thing with her leg again. It's fine now like it was last time. She's petting. She's doing it now when she walks. There can't be nothing wrong. It's a tantrum. I'm worried about Star. 9 p.m. Why? She keeps screaming when I touch her leg.
Savannah tells her that it's Star throwing a tantrum. However, we now know that she had a fractured leg at that point. Star would have been in a significant amount of pain. Frankie chose to ask Savannah what to do, when she should have been choosing to take care of Star and get her the medical attention that she needed. At this point, it goes beyond Frankie being a victim of controlling and coercive behaviour and being so scared of Savannah, onto willful neglect of her own daughter. The day that Star was killed, Savannah asks what she's up to in the morning in the following text exchange.
2 p.m. You doing? X, sorting this child out. Gave her food and she ate it all and now she's sat on the floor saying no and nipping and biting her arm. Daft child. Ragged my hair out, smacked me. Sick to death of it. Do what you did last night and put her in a corner. Done it. stood crying at the wall.
That same day, Savannah goes to Frankie's flat. Frankie said that she went to the toilet and Savannah said that she went to the kitchen when they heard a thud. If you watch the video that I did of the evidence presented in court a few weeks ago, you'll know that Savannah attempted CPR. But there were several searches made on the phones, and this was all before 999 was called. Even the following day after Star was killed, Savannah is still trying to be controlling by saying that none of Star's family could come to the funeral and that she was going to be buried by Savannah's mum's grave. Considering the amount of times that Frankie had ignored all of the warning signs, she did receive a very light sentence for her part in it. Yes, she was very young and very easy to manipulate. She was the victim of coercive and controlling behaviour. But she knew that Savannah posed a risk and she failed to protect Star. It isn't necessary actual violence that abusers use to force their victim into complying. Sometimes it's simply just more powerful to have the threat of violence. They want their victim to feel powerless, worthless, and unable to leave. I do hope that you found today's video interesting.
I think that was the best summary. Hold on, make sure my That's exactly what it was. I was muted again. I couldn't figure out what it was. Okay. This is where I'm going to end this. I just wanted to do that recap to cover from beginning to end. And so, with that said, look for my next live to cover another story. It will not be on Star. We're going to go try to help another kid. Okay, so have a great day and peace be with you.